The views and opinions expressed on not the program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCmedia, Bristol Community College or the City of Fall River.
Hi, I'm Mike O'Sullivan, CEO of One SouthCoast Chamber, and I'm joined here today on the One SouthCoast Chamber Connection by our Vice President of Marketing and Events, Katie Greene. Welcome, Katie.
Hello, Mike. Great to be here.
It's great to have you here.
Yeah.
We were just saying, boy, we've been busy.
Well, we have been. We make notes. I make notes for us for the show, and I thought, normally this time of year it's quiet. What are we going to talk about? And then I started writing it, and I thought, wow, we've had so much going on, and it's one thing after another. You kind of forget about it. It all gets jumbled together. So let's dive right in, shall we?
Certainly.
All right. So we're here at Bristol Community College today, and it feels like we never left because we were here last night. We had the St. Anne's Credit Union Business After Hours. They always host with us annually, and this year was the first time they did it right here at Bristol.
Yeah, it was a great event, and we always love when St. Anne sponsors. They're such a great company, and they got some really wonderful people. We had a great crowd, great food.
Oh,
great
Jinx.
food.
Yeah.
Great food. Yeah, Jinx, show me a Coke, right? It was a lot of fun. We had a really good time, great conversations, and saw folks we hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah, we had a couple winners. They won each won a $100 gift card, courtesy of St. Anne's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got to see your old friend Tom Foley from
E for All.
Yeah.
We were just talking last night. Well, I introduced you. Knew him, I think,
yes.
right? Yeah. But we were mentors together for E for All, and our mentee Ivis was in attendance last night as well.
She won a gift card. Yeah.
She was one of our gift card winners. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good night. Just, sometimes it's nice to see Tom's around, but we don't get to see him very often. And, so it's nice when he's able to make it to the events like that. And of course, he's such a great mentor and just an asset for E4All. I think he sits on the E4All.
He's on the board. On the national board.
I think he's on the national board, yeah. Which is pretty cool, but it's good to have a Massachusetts resident.
Yeah, he's a smart man. Just in my months that we worked together, I was learning things from him, and I wasn't the one being mentored. So
exactly,
he's a great guy. Yeah,
exactly.
But we had a really great crowd last night, and the weather was better because we've been suffering through the heat for the last couple of days, and last night it was much cooler.
Yeah, it was much cooler, much cloudier.
Much cloudier, unfortunately.
But still, it was good,
Yeah, and we were on the beautiful Bristol campus, so that's always nice.
It's always nice being on Bristol Community College campus.
So today, the day that we are filming, is actually the last day of our membership drive, which we started earlier in the month.
Yeah, which we had, counting the interns from Bay Coast Bank, we had like 60 volunteers.
Wow.
For a membership drive, which was just amazing.
Yeah.
Cliff did a great job. Cliff Atherist, our membership director, he did a great job getting those volunteers. Mm-hmm. And they were calling. They were calling in 2 or 3 hour increments in different groups and things, and the folks from Bay Coast were in their conference room calling out. It was a great day, and I know the leadership at Bay Coast Bank was impressed with the work that the kids were doing. I call them kids, the interns. The intern they were doing, and I have to give your friend Greg Clarkin a shout out too, because he was the one who really worked with them. Mm-hmm. And of course, Philomena Lopes was dialing out, making lots of calls. Yeah. But Greg was the one who kind of managed, from my understanding, was the one who kind of managed
the war room, as they called it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was fun. It was a great week, and and of course, Chris Johnson yesterday was still bringing in members.
He was.
So, and I haven't had 2 seconds in the office yet today, so I'm looking forward to seeing Cliff maybe at the end of the day. If not, I'll text him. But to see where we land.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, and Chris, he was our ambassador of the year. It was last year, I think.
Last year
he got
was
it.
the
Yeah.
ambassador of the year.
Chris is a longtime ambassador for One SouthCoast, and actually he was an ambassador when the chambers were separate, when it was still Fall River and New Bedford areas.
Yeah.
And he is the ambassador extraordinaire, the king of not working. His term, not ours. Instead of networking, he's not working.
And he's one of those. He's one of those members that volunteers that really, really understands the benefits of being a chamber member, and there are many. But he also understands how certain benefits could be very specific to a certain business.
Right.
You know.
Right. And
so-
how important it is to be engaged in the chamber with your membership.
Yeah. That's the single most important part of it. Is that you need to be engaged. If you're not engaged in it, you're not going to get anywhere near the benefit and value out of it that you could.
Right.
And we see that, unfortunately, we see that a lot.
Yeah.
But then we also see on the good side, we see the people that are really engaged.
Yeah.
They do really, really well, and it really helps their business. It builds their business. It brings new customers and things like that. And it all doesn't happen overnight, but it's a long-term importance.
They're putting in the legwork and the face time, and it pays off. So
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So we were very happy with the membership drive.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Today is, I think, what, 4 o'clock? Does it end
4
at 4 o'clock?
today,
That's
yes.
it. Cliff will be ringing the bells. So stay tuned on some updates on that. But thank you to all of those 60-ish volunteers who took time out of their days.
Yeah, we are really appreciative because it's there's a lot of these folks could be giving their time to so many other not-for-profit organizations, and these folks chose to volunteer for us, and we understand that, and we don't take that lightly, and we're really grateful for their time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something else that we had this week, we've had a really busy week this week. 3 events in 1 week, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. And Ian and I had one this morning with the arts and culture folks too.
Yeah. So it's I don't know how our calendars worked out that way, but it's been a busy week, and we'll sleep tonight, hopefully.
Well, Sharon was saying to me this morning, "Why do you do this to yourself? Don't you control your calendar?" And I said, "Well, I sort of." But,
sometimes things are out of our control, and we've got to put them on the calendar.
Exactly.
We make the best of it and do what we can to not stress ourselves out too much. But
no, but there's a time and a place for the events, and you need to do it. And if the topic, like the one we're going to get into, the Energy Summit, energy right now is a really, really hot topic.
Sure
There's
is.
so many things going on. People are concerned about the cost of, all of their utilities. There's a lot happening in the world of offshore wind, right now, which creates an enormous amount of uncertainty. So people, they want to hear about that. They want to know what's happening with that. And even though there's some challenges with offshore wind, there's still good stuff going on. There's still a lot of work being done, at the port, and so. It's not all bad. It's not all negative.
No.
But it really was a great. We had 2 panels, and it was great because we're fortunate, and on the South Coast, we're fortunate to have Rep. Mark Sylvia, who used to be I want to say the Commissioner of Energy under Deval Patrick. I may have that not exactly right, but who's become really, really knowledgeable. On the legislation related to energy, and he was a panelist, and we had Brad Camille from Isaacson Solar, and he really he gave a great I think he gave everybody a great understanding of the importance of solar, but how the importance of the fact that it don't make rash decisions. It's an important decision, but really look at it. It might not be for everybody, depending upon your home or your business, how your roof structure is, and all that kind of thing. He gave a great education on that. I felt like, So he did a really great job, as did everybody else. I won't name everybody, but it was good. But National Grid, Eversource and Liberty Utilities were all represented. So it was really good.
Mass CEC.
Yeah, Mass CEC was great.
Jen Downing from New Bedford Ocean Cluster.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And they all really, it was a great panel because everybody had great different perspectives.
They did.
They really did. You know, you had the perspectives from the utilities, but you also had the, Mark Sylvia, you had the solar perspective. And then I thought Jen Downing and Bruce Carlisle from Mass CEC were great in just talking about how it all kind of comes together, talking about the importance of, of just the port in general. And this was really good stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
2 great panels. I scribbled down the names of the panels, and I think I got them right. But the first one that we had that had Jen and Rep. Sylvia, Mass CEC, and Bristol Community College. We had Brianne from Nowie, yeah. And that
Brianne was terrific too.
Brianne McDonough. She's heading up the Nowie now, I believe.
Yeah,
if I have her title
Vice
correct.
President of Economic Development, I think.
Yeah.
She was great because we also addressed the workforce training, because that's an important factor in all this, because a lot of the energy stuff is new, and it's not only the air. It's not only the offshore wind part of it that's new. It's the gas and electric and everything's changing. So you really need safety training. You need general training.
First aid.
It's all that kind of stuff. And there, so Bristol is doing a good job at the Nowie of really of pivoting. As offshore wind slows somewhat.
Yeah, and the name of that panel was The Future of Energy in the Commonwealth.
That's right.
And then our second panel was Powering Progress.
Yes.
And that was with the utility companies, Eversource and Liberty, and Isaacson.
Carolyn O'Connor from Liberty Utilities, Brad Camille from Isaacson, and Maureen Berica. That was a hard one, except she told me how you remember it, and I'll never forget it.
Now you know.
So
the more you know.
Yeah, and she did a great job representing Eversource as well. So it was really good.
Great
it was
panelists.
Educational, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, thank you to everyone who attended, and thank you to our panelists once again. So that was in the afternoon on Tuesday, and we actually should mention that was at Merrill's on the waterfront in New Bedford, right where all those fishing vessels are, and always beautiful.
Great view.
Yeah.
Great view.
Yeah, great view.
As I am seated and I was standing looking at the panel, I could look right out the window.
Yeah.
I was looking at the water the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot.
So the next morning, we were back in New Bedford, and we were over at AHEAD, who are great friends of ours. And there we hosted a meeting with the Boston Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, and those, Susan Collins, the president, came down with 5 or 6 folks from her team, and we had about, maybe 25 leaders from the SouthCoast, from some of the not-for-profits to couple, to Bank 5 and St. Anne's Credit Union. So the financial organizations were covered, and we had some, some of the larger companies. A Cushnet company was there, Gold Medal Bakery, Matuk, and New Bedford EDC was represented, Tony, and many
Tony
others.
Sapienza,
all the things Tony Sapienza represents, which is like at least 3 or 4 organizations. But it was a good conversation, because you get to hear, you really got to hear from these leaders, what are you concerned about? What are you optimistic about? And really, there are some concerns with things like tariffs, definitely. Because you get some of the business, especially in the clothing industry. There isn't anybody in this country that is making is making the material that you need, that Matuk needs as an example to be able to, to make all of their soft goods. So, so there's a lot of concern there, and then and it's like, because tariffs we don't really know the effect of tariffs, and we won't for a while, but it was just that part of it was a really good conversation. The golf industry's booming, the food industry's booming. So you have these things aren't perfect, but you've got Brian Lecomte from Gold Medal talked about a little bit about how they bought a building in the industrial park for expansion and things like that. So it's good to hear the positives.
Yes.
It's very good to hear the positives. And there were a lot of positives, and that was coming out of it. That was one of the comments that Susan Collins, the president of the Fed in Boston, said is, she was really impressed by the enthusiasm and and really just the positivity coming out of the room.
Yeah, healthy conversation.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation. And then talking to her team afterwards, they were impressed by the variety of the companies, because they didn't realize that there were companies that were really like Matuk Manufacturing in the industrial park in Fall River, or a company the size of Gold Medal Bakery that's actually expanding the way they are. So there's a lot of really good things that are just happening, and they just didn't know about.
Right.
So it's really good for them to get out and for us to be able to talk about all the positives.
Yeah. It was a great conversation.
Yep.
So one of the things that we do at the Chamber is award ceremonies, and even though it's not until December, we're working on it now.
Yeah, you have to do the hard part's now.
Yeah.
Not that the actual event isn't hard.
No.
You do so much good work on that, but the hard part is now, because we need the nomination.
Right. August 1st is the deadline. And we have two different award groups that we have. We have the Brayton Awards and we have the Apex Awards.
And the Brayton are the Community Service Awards, and the Brayton Awards they're so important because you have so many folks who live and work in our region that they give back to their community, and they don't want anything for it. They don't.
Right.
Maybe a thank you at the end of the day or something from if you're coaching or something like that. But we have so many organizations that so many people volunteer for, and that's perfect. That type of person that's been giving their time for years, whether it be coaching or whatever they might be doing, working in the different food pantries or working for one of the, volunteering for social service organizations and things like that. Just go on onesouthcoast.com/awards.
Award forms. Yeah.
And nominate someone that and someone that you respect and you think would be a really great representative, or is a great representative.
Doesn't have to be a chamber member.
Right.
You do not have to be a chamber member. Last year we had someone who was an Eagle Scout. I think he was a Boy Scout leader. He did a lot. He's an older gentleman who's retired. He's not a chamber member, and so don't let that be a hang up for sure.
Yeah, if there's somebody that's doing great work in your local church, please nominate them. It really is community service based awards. It's not the Brayton Awards are not business based, which is a great way for us to roll into the Apex Awards, which are business based.
That's right, and self-nominating.
Yeah, self-nominating, if your business has been doing something great or did something great this year, if you had a great expansion, if you had a fantastic, building renovation or something of that nature, nominate yourself.
We have 4 categories that they can nominate for. We have education, nonprofit, small business, and large business.
Yeah.
Bristol was the recipient Two years ago for large business.
2 years ago for large business, and education too. Did you say education?
You're thinking of Dr. Douglas. She got a Brayton Award, I think.
No, but we do education.
Oh, I said education. Oh, the category. Sorry, I thought you meant Bristol got an education award too.
I missed that.
We'll get our act together.
It went right over my head. But education's an important part of the economy.
Yeah.
So it's important that we recognize the different leaders. And we've recognized scholarship funds under the education category. We've recognized, the Diamond Foundation.
Yeah.
We've recognized schools.
New Bedford Public School System. Yeah.
So we've recognized there's a lot of ways you can look at it.
Absolutely.
A lot of ways
Absolutely.
to look at it.
Yep. So like Mike said, go to onesouthcoast.com/award forms, and you will find all the information that you need there, as well as the applications to download. And they are due by August 1st, so we can get the ball rolling and start planning for December.
I'm going to leave the next one for you.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Chowder Fest. Chowder Fest, that's going, save the date, Saturday, October 11th at City Pier 3 in New Bedford, where we have always been. This is the 20th year for Chowder Fest. It wasn't always the Chambers. The Chamber took over before my time. So I'm going to say this is maybe our 7th or 8th year doing it as the Chamber. But we are really looking forward to it again. We're going to have Chamber weather, as we always say.
I think it's got to be 8 years.
Is it 8 years?
I think it's
doing the
at
math?
least 8 because I'll be here. I'm here 7 years. So
next week it's Mike's anniversary, everyone. 7 years on July 2nd with the Chamber. Yeah.
But they were doing it when I got here.
Okay.
So it has to be at least 8 years.
So at least 8 years. Yeah. Yeah. So 20th anniversary of this event. Our title sponsor, of course, is Blount Fine Foods. We had Todd Blount from Blount on our show last year. Yeah, just before Chowder. We wore our Chowder Fest t-shirts, and we'll have to do that again this year. So anyway, that's going to be Saturday, October 11th, and now is the time, because this is another event that we have to start. I started planning this in January because you have to get your permits and all that fun stuff. But now is when we do the restaurant recruiting. So if you know of a restaurant, or you are a restaurant and you want to participate, we have 3 categories. We have the clam and seafood chowder category, Portuguese specialty, and signature soup. Signature can be anything. We always say it could be a chili, it could be I don't know, I can't think of anything else right now. A stew, it could be a stew. But anyway,
there was a few interesting ones last year in that category.
Yes.
Because Tequila Lime didn't they?
Tequila Lime did a Mexican tortilla.
Yeah, it was very good.
Maybe something like that. We had a Haitian restaurant participate. I forgot the name of their soup, but people were raving about that one. Sister Marie in Fall River, actually. That was who did that one. But yeah, and here's the thing: you don't have to be a restaurant, because we have non-restaurants that compete. We have catering companies that compete. We have skilled nursing centers and assisted living places that compete. We have one of each, actually. So if you have a kitchen and you have your Serve Safe and your Board of Health permits and your allergen certificates and your kitchen is certified, then we want you to join us for Chowder Fest. It's free for restaurants to participate, and we get around 3,000 people on that pier that day.
Yeah,
we have a rockin' band. We've got Be Kind Rewind coming back again. This will be their 3rd year doing it, I believe. Maybe 2nd. All the years jumbled together. And this is going to be my 5th one, my 5th Chowder Fest. Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time sure does fly.
But I'm thinking Diamond's culinary program did it 2 years ago.
Yes, there was a scheduling conflict last year, so they couldn't do it. So we're hoping to get them back. We'd love to have Durfee join us. We'd love to have New Bedford Voc. I know New Bedford Voc couldn't do it last year either, but we always get student volunteers from New Bedford Voc, not just out of the culinary program, but out of the law program that they have there. So, and I say this every year, Chowder Fest would not be possible without the massive amount of volunteers that we have, because it takes a lot of people there that day to pull off an event of this size. There are a million different things going on at once, And we're very lucky to have the volunteers that we have. That includes ambassadors, spouses of chamber members, the students. We've worked with Gut Chew, and we do the VIP deck on the black VIP on the Black Whale deck. It's a really fun event. So again, restaurants, we want you. I'm going to start my outreach, my email soon. But if you are seeing this and you want to participate, and again, not just restaurants.
Well, we need to challenge the New Bedford Public Schools too, because next week they're opening the new central. They've created a central culinary facility.
Okay.
For all the schools.
All right.
So
let's get them in.
We're gonna have to tell Andrew.
Andrew,
O'Leary.
yeah.
We're gonna have to tell him he's got to get them
on
in
board.
there.
That would be amazing. Well, Diamond students won one of the categories when they participated 2 years ago, and those kids, their faces,
they were ecstatic.
They couldn't believe it. They were so excited, and they were wonderful, wonderful kids. So, yeah, let's see what happens this year. We're going to be talking about it a lot on this program in the months to come.
We certainly will.
A couple of things coming up before we're out of time today is our annual Sip and Sail Business After Hours on the Cuttyhunk Ferry. That's in partnership with the United Way of Greater New Bedford. That's happening on Thursday, July 17th. We always, again, it's chamber weather. We always luck out with this event. It's a beautiful, it's a leisurely harbor cruise around Padenham Harbor. It's just really beautiful. That is a ticketed event, so you have to register ahead of time. It sells out every year. If you're interested, please reach out to us, and you can always email us at info@onesouthcoast.com. So that is on our website now, but coming soon to our website, we actually have 2 business after hours in August. It's a longer month. So we have one on Thursday, October 7th with the New Bedford Whaling Museum. And in my time at the Chamber, I just celebrated 4 years with the Chamber actually. We haven't had them host one. So I'm really looking forward to having that event there with them.
That's a fun facility.
Yeah, I haven't been in there, and I don't even know when the last time I was in there was. So that's going to be a really great event.
Yeah, it's a fun facility, and Amanda McMullen has a great team there.
Yeah.
And of course they're going to be expanding.
They are.
They've just announced, I think, a $31 million expansion.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a really good night. But if you want to go see the Whaling Museum, that's the night to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So that will be coming, actually by the time this airs, it'll be on our website. So I shouldn't even say coming soon. Available now. Also available now is our annual Serve Pro End of Summer Bash. That they do their business after hours on that last Thursday of the month. That's going to be on the 28th. Always a great time.
That's always a blast.
Make sure you register for that as well. That one does start at 4:30 instead of 5 like our normal ones. But that wraps it up.
That was quick.
That was quick. It's been a busy spring we're just into summer. And
well, thank you, Katie, for all the hard work, and thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back next month.
We'll see you next time.